I see my name in shining lights. Yeah, a different city every night. Oh, I swear the world better prepare for when I'm a billionaire.
It's time to get down to business on the weekend's #1 business program. Known as the King of Networking, your host, Shalom Klein, has worked with thousands of entrepreneurs and created countless jobs. So, to success. Let's get down to business.
And indeed, we're all about small business jobs and entrepreneurship in business. We talk a lot about business here. You're on with Get Down to Business, and I'm your host, Shalom Klein. Remember, you can always download podcasts from Get Down to Business on my website at shalomklein.com. And while you are there, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Shalom Klein. It's going to be a jam-packed week of content and information you will not want to miss. So let's jump right in. I'm super excited to be joined by my friend Iras Antelis, who is the founder of 120 Life. We're going to talk all about it. It's the first juice drink created for the 100 million Americans with high blood pressure. But before we get there, Ira, I love to get to know the person behind the microphone. Ira, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
First, thanks for having me. As some people know, that I spent most of my life writing and producing music, and a lot of it for television commercials, for pop records, theater, sort of you name it in music, I was doing it. And an illness set my blood pressure through the roof. And unbeknownst to this point of my life, the thought that I would create a drink that would lower high blood pressure was not really in the cards, but I was reading about all these things that lowered your blood pressure as I was trying to lower mine, and it just dawned on me, what if everything I was reading about lowers your blood pressure a little bit, what would happen if you put them all together? Maybe it would lower it a lot, and that's how I created 120 Life.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that story. Like you said, you have a fascinating background that I know you continue to love and have a passion for music production. You've done a lot, and certainly diagnosis that sort of changed your life. And I understand your doctor told you get it down in 3 weeks or it's surgery. So what I love about your story, Ira, is how you have turned your diagnosis into something that's helping over 108 million people in America. So high blood pressure. What was that experience like, hearing that, and how, again, exactly did it lead to this idea of a drink helping? How did you discover this?
You know what happened? I did. Yeah, he said you have 3 weeks, or we're going to do open heart surgery, because I had another health issue. And my first question, which might sound a little ridiculous, because my dad was a pharmacist, I said, "What's high blood pressure?" Because most of us know what can happen. You hear about strokes and heart attacks, but I wanted to know what caused it and how I could lower it. So they basically said, figure it out. So I went home and I read everything I could read. What should I eat? What should I drink? Cut your salt. And in 3 weeks, they also gave me some medication. My blood pressure went down to the point where he felt I would not need surgery. But I was sort of a little bit obsessed at that point about just lifestyle choices. And I'd be on the internet, what should I drink for high blood pressure? And every time I'd read that, it would say, studies show pomegranate juice as little as 2 ounces a day lowered blood pressure up to 8% in 6 weeks. Or studies show hibiscus tea, a cup a day, lowered blood pressure 10%. So one day I just was sitting in my kitchen and I kept thinking, wow, if 10% on hibiscus tea, 8% on pomegranate juice, 6% on beets, and I just did the math. And they all sort of look similar, and off to Whole Foods I went. And I started buying everything I had read about and figuring if I were to create a drink, what it would look like, how big would it be, and with my wife being the one who is an amazing cook, the hardest part was convincing her to allow me to have like 2 inches of her kitchen counter, as I say. And but that's what I did. I just started formulating it, and here we are over 4 years later, probably close to 2 million in revenues, and helping a lot of people.
Well, we're going to dig into all of these pieces in our conversation because, again, first and foremost, you're saving people's lives, but also I love to hear any entrepreneur share their story of entrepreneurship. And you just talked about their revenue, substantial growth, which is exciting. But you mentioned about the pomegranate juice. You mentioned about the ingredients. It's really natural ingredients. I'm looking at the nutrition facts right now, and it includes 0 grams of added sugars, which is always music to my ears.
Yeah.
It looks like delicious ingredients, and you're saying that this is actually a natural way that stops blood vessels from constricting too much. Very interesting. So you have heard success stories in the past, Ira?
Oh yeah. I mean, people call me all the time, or email me all the time and say my blood pressure dropped 30 or 40 points, or it changed my life, or I feel better. I mean, I answer the phone calls. That's sort of one of my jobs. So I talk to people a lot, and I know it's really, really helped many, many people. And it's also taught them that you can fight this disease. This is a disease that can be controlled if you cut your salt. I think a lot of our ingredients help. And some of the reason that our ingredients help is because it mirrors some of the medication. And I'll give you one example. So if you have high blood pressure, the first thing a doctor will do is give you a diuretic. And in our drink, there are 2 natural diuretics. Hibiscus is a natural diuretic, and so is pomegranate juice. So unbeknownst to me, what I created parallels many of the medications, but in natural form.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I want to dive in, perfect segue into the business side of things. Again, I'm chatting with the founder of 120 Life, literally a life-saving juice, a drink that's combating high blood pressure. And Ira, aside for the amazing effects of the drink, you're also developing a very successful business. So I have to ask the real life story. Is there any things about business ownership that surprised you, and what lessons would you share to fellow entrepreneurs that might be tuning in of perhaps speed bumps that they might be able to sort of swerve around?
Yes. So the first thing is, for many, many years, I had a very, very successful music company, and I would do, hundreds, if not thousands of pieces of music for commercials. So I was sort of used to running a business, but running a juice business is a totally different mechanism. And in my sort of simplicity, I thought, well, I'll create this, I'll go on TV, talk about it, because I know a lot of people in the media, and somebody will come and buy me. Well, that did not happen. So all of a sudden, it was like I had to learn about margins. Like, you can't be at a 20% margin. Like, people want to see margins, let's say, of over 50%. Things like that. Cost controls. What are shipping costs? Things I'd never experienced in my life. And finally, one day, somebody said, Ira, you're a very creative person. This is a great idea, but you can't run your business. And I said, you're right. Let's find somebody. And I found a brilliant, brilliant young man, Adi Malik, who's taken it from a really, let's say, great idea into a really functioning business with all of the things that business people like.
Well, that's really good advice right there, that you can't do it all, that bottom line, hire professionals, know your area of expertise, and bring others in. So again, I'm chatting with Ira Antelis from 120 Life. We'll send people over to your website in just a moment. Ira, where do you see 120 Life in 5 years from now, if you have a crystal ball?
Wow. Well, let me say one thing, because maybe the greatest thing for me about 120 Life is I started it when I was close to 60 years old. So I think for all the people who are out there and sometimes feel I'm too old to do this, my message is, no, you're never too old. If you have an idea, whether you're 30 years old or 50 or 60 or 70, go pursue it. Because everybody laughed at me. They're like, what do you know? You do music. What would you know about this? And here we are. In 5 years, I think as the word continues to spread and we continue to advertise and market, we hope to be, significantly higher, $10, $15 million in revenues. And again, we're trying to teach people how to really, on some level, save their lives. Because if your blood pressure lowers, that means the odds of you getting kidney disease, heart disease, strokes go down exponentially. So that to me is the most important thing, personally that we're helping people. And in 5 years, we'll see what happens.
Excellent. Well, Ira, that's we're coming to the end of our time together. Can you share your website so people can learn more about 120 Life and the amazing growth and success that you've had?
Yeah, so it's 120life.com. And we tell people this: if you want to order for 2 weeks and you are unhappy for any reason, we guarantee your money back, and I refund the money. So if you have high blood pressure, it is definitely worth the opportunity to try this.
So the goal is ordering from 120 Life doesn't increase your blood pressure. There we go. Well, thank you, Ira and Antelis. Thank you so much for joining us to share your story and the good work that you're doing. I look forward to bringing you back on and continuing to follow the success. Again, that website is 120life.com. We've got to squeeze in a quick break here on the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Get on my website, shalomklein.com. That's where you can download the past 8+ years of shows all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Quick break. We'll be right back.